The Dubai Desert Classics third day. The Emirates Golf Club 7,100 yards, a stern test for the world's best. The vivid contrast on the course, the lush greens and the fairways, the sparkling lakes filled with colourful carp and koi fish. We're halfway through the opening tournament of a new Volvo PGA season. And what a leaderboard we have, and the gods are already smiling on some.
Go in the hole! Go in the hole!
South Africa's Wayne Westner got the tournament off to a most wonderful start with a hole-in-one just 2 hours into the new season. It could hardly have been better. And at the close of the first day, it was the Australian Greg Norman, runner-up here last year, who was the leader of the pack after a sizzling 64. He led Fred Couples by 1 and Nick Price by 2. The cream had come straight to the top. Ernie Els and Colin Montgomerie were nicely poised just behind them. Only 4 shots separating the top 15 players. And day 2 belonged to Scotland's Colin Montgomerie, who laced 10 birdies into the season's best round so far, a 63, which ultimately carried him 3 ahead of Couples and Norman, with Price and Howard Clark 4 behind. All the impressive names up there, and some good youngsters coming through as well, like Owen O'Connell, Retief Goosen and Steen Tinning. Well, Ken Brown, it's perfectly set up for a great third round.
Yes, and the leading groups look like this. Owen O'Connell plays with the defending champ Ernie Els. Raymond Burns and Stuart Cage, the 2 young 21-year-olds, play together. And pairings don't come much better than this. Nicky Price and Greg Norman, world number 1 and 2, play together. But can anyone catch Colin Montgomerie, Europe's number 1?
Well, the lead is off in about 10 minutes, but already there's been a significant move out on the course by this man, Michael Campbell from New Zealand. Out in a superb 31 today, which included 4 birdies. Campbell very much a new name on the Volvo Tour. Indeed, he played just 7 events on the Challenge Tour last year, finishing 3rd overall, and he's in superb nick today.
Yes, and there's a look at his card. 4 birdies on the front 9 holes to be out in 31. Unfortunately dropped a stroke on the very much a pickup hole, the 10th. And in pops another one. So a really good sparkling 11 holes for Michael Campbell.
So that's the way it is then, just into this third day here at the Emirates Golf Course. Colin Montgomerie, who tees off in a few minutes, 3 ahead of Greg Norman and Fred Couples. Howard Clark and Nick Price from Zimbabwe, both 9 under. Clark, as you see, has just played the 1 hole today in par. Joachim Hegman of Sweden has gone to 8 under. He completed his round. He was early today. Retief Goosen, another of those 8 under. But Colin Montgomerie in very good humour, as you would expect after a round of 63 yesterday, which contained 10 birdies and 1 bogey. He's never ever shot 10 birdies before in a round. So it's his 3rd round of 63 in his European career. Loves his new clubs, but it's an old putter.
Yes, it's his old Wilson putter, which has been working very well for him. Out on the 8th is Darren Clark. Clark opened up with the rounds of 71 and 68, a total of 139. She's come a little from the right. Not quite as much as Darren thought. Winner of the Alfred Dunhill Open in 1993. He'll be a player hoping to make some sort of bid for the Ryder Cup this season.
Conditions are generally good today here, as Joachim Hegman has found from Sweden. 65 the best round of the day. Besson from France, 68, he's 4 under. Ross McFarlane, 3 under par. Malcolm Mackenzie, 2 under. And Scott Watson, 70 as well. Stephen Ames from Trinidad is 70, and those 3 on the 71 mark today. But Greg Norman at the start of his 3rd round, I always think it's a critical day, the 3rd round. It's a real day when somebody can really dash through the field. And this man will be hoping to do exactly that.
Yes, he's left himself a short iron to the first hole, the pin cut on the front right-hand corner of the green. So he'll be throwing it high over the bunker, guarding the front of the green. An absolute peach to open up with. And here is a look at this first hole, 433 yards. That bunker on the left is the key to the holes. The players are trying to hug as close as they can to that and try and move the ball a little bit from right to left. Bunker on the right really didn't ought to come into play.
Our first look today at the world's #1 Nicky Price. He's been in such supreme form over the last 2 years. He really has added more than consistency to his game, and just scarcely gets himself into trouble.
And this is where Norman and Price have just played their second shot from. As you can see, you can't quite see the bottom of the pin. That bunker guards that. It's a very narrow green from back to front, only 23 paces wide, and it really does take a high towering iron shot to stop the ball, as Greg Norman did there.
Well, that's the profile of the world's #2. Shortly will become 40, and a very athletic 40 as well, with 12 tour wins. And, easy to forget, he's almost been 20 years a professional now. And look at those tour earnings, close on £8 million.
Here's Howard Clark, who's leading the European Challenge. His little pitch to the second. Perfect tee shot. And a perfectly judged little pitch. The pin cut a little bit to the right-hand side, so Clark favouring the centre of the green. And of course, Clark is one of the leading European challengers. Colin Montgomerie, of course, the big Scot, the front runner. Now, of course, Price and Norman are good friends. Price just recently moved to Jupiter Island, where Norman lives. Both got their own aircraft.
Yes, in fact, Nicky Price bought his from Greg Norman when because he decided to invest in another one. Had a bit of a scare as well in Harare. Nicky Price, I think it was first time out in it as well. Must have thought he'd sold him a pup. There we have the leaderboard for you, with Montgomerie 3 clear and just about to leave the putting green to go to the first tee. Freddie Couples, of course, not to be discounted, at 3 behind the leader as well. The sort of day he might fancy today. There's a bit of breeze, but conditions absolutely perfect. Look at that. It really is the most idyllic setting here in the Middle East.
A little bit from right to left. Didn't quite read the borrow, so he's going to have to be happy with a par 4 at his opening hole. Price remains at 9 under par.
66 in his first round, 69 yesterday, and his putter didn't quite do the business for him. Campbell, 160 yards this second shot at the 12th, up to an elevated green. It's a pretty good smack to get it up there. But he's playing so well today, he's full of confidence. Certainly a name we're going to hear plenty of during the course of the season, I'm sure. We've been hearing this man's name generally on leaderboards. It's not often he misses those. It's a superb approach shot.
Just wriggles in the right-hand side, but what a perfect start for Norman. Moves to within 2 of Colin Montgomerie. He'll be back waiting on the tee.
The white Stetson favoured today by Norman. And on the 7th tee, remember this is the hole Wayne Wessner hole in one on the opening day, the first couple of hours in fact.
7th today, playing from a slightly forward tee, different angle. But hasn't affected Langer. The hole today playing 158 yards.
Clark's putt teetering on the brink, playing today with Pierre Folke from Sweden, but Howard Clark seems to be in good mood at the start of a new season. Had an excellent round yesterday. Well, another Ryder Cup contender, Costantino Rocca from Italy. Doesn't look to be in a particularly handy position there at the side of the tree. The second to the 8th. That right shoulder comes right round. A whipping action, but it's not had the desired effect. It was an awkward lie by the look of it, and he's gone pretty close to the next set of trees.
Just probably, hopefully, gone in the bunker. You'd rather be there than in this deep rough. Walker. Open his account of birdies. 2. A birdie 3 for him to move him to 8 under. Very, very consistent player, straight hitter.
Well, we've seen Campbell from New Zealand. His playing partner today is Paul McGinley from Ireland. If he might be inspired by his partner, it sometimes happened that Dubliner Paul McGinley could have been a top Gaelic footballer. Chose golf instead after an injury disrupted his footballing career. And Campbell was a former rugby union player, so these fellas are not just golfers, but golf is their number one now. A little pitch and run from off the edge.
Seemed to catch that a little bit thin, little clean, didn't really get to the bottom of the ball. Maybe lying a bit tight. As I was watching this fellow Campbell on the practice round yesterday, and he's a very confident, aggressive striker of the ball. A New Zealand Aborigine, not many of those play golf.
The scores, some of them are already in today, like Hegman there with that 65, taking himself right into contention at 8 under, along with Folke there. Campbell's name on the board at 7. Four birdies in the front 9 for Michael Campbell today. Well, just shaving the hole. Nice pace on it though. Looks very phlegmatic, very calm character.
Got another birdie opportunity for Campbell at the 13th as we move back down the course to the first. And this is the shot that's facing Freddie Couples. Got 160 yards. Freddie electing to hit a 3-wood off the tee. If he hits a 3-wood, he doesn't have to draw it, he can hit a straight shot. If you hit a driver from the tee, you really need to move it from right to left. Lovely lazy rhythm. All flying to the beautiful blue sky. Not a great shot though, pulled it left. Usually when he hit it left, because the club face is slightly shut, it goes a little too far as well.
Terrific match for the galleries to follow this one. This really is the battle of the big hitters. Everybody knows about Couples. And Montgomerie too, very long off the tee with his new driver, his Callaways. He went to test them out. Had a spell in Jamaica, and he's really got extra distance.
With a big drive, Colin able to go with a much shorter iron, get a bit more control and stop.
Phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Yesterday he was saying that with these clubs, it's like having an extra club in his bag, that he's full of confidence. He's never been more confident at the start of a year. Simply not over arrogant, but simply saying he knows he's good at his job. Why not go out and enjoy it?
Well, he's certainly shown us some fine stuff so far this week, and what a great start for him. Well, Norman has already got his birdie at the first. Just a 3/4 sand wedge to the second, although he measures 351 yards. Just trickles off the back of the green, but the pin only 5 paces from the back, so still within birdie range.
Costantino Rockers, third, coming up at the 8th. Flirted with the trees, down the left, down the right, but this is dead on line. Well played, sir. Well, he's had a lovely winter. He was saying he's been able to play a lot of sunshine golf in his home country of Italy.
Yes, these days with such a lot of competition on the European Tour, you really have to keep your game in good shape during the winter months. But a good look at this one. Well, if he just wriggles in the right hand side, I was going to say firm and straight. A wry smile on his face. He knew that one could have easily just slipped away.
Oh, Herr Langer found the green without any problem at all. He was using a 4-iron off the tee in practice. It's very much dependent on the wind, but that's not going to move at all, not one iota. That was off tape a few moments ago, and Langer holed it safely enough for his par. Now this is Greg Norman with a chance to go to 12 under. Just off the putting surface, but it's a very flat surface. Shade unfortunate, just not quite having the legs necessary.
This is Couples' effort for a birdie on the first, and more realistically 2 putts for a par. Just wandering about a bit, and he's got a tester left for his 4 at the first. Price second to the second a couple of moments ago. 60-degree wedge.
Fabulous stuff from the world number 1. So now back live. We have this attempt to take Price to 10 under, which would put him within 3 of the outright leader, Colin Montgomerie. might only be momentarily because Montgomerie has a little tiddler of a putt at the first. And, no rattle there of ball in cup. It's a disappointment that for Nicky Price. It's the sort of distance he's been so consistent with over the last 2 seasons. Only Walter Hagen won Open and USPGA in the same year. What a miss that. What a miss by Price. Dear, dear, dear. Well, that's going to put him in very bad humour.
Yes, that was carelessness. Fred's tapped in for his par 4. And a few moments ago, this is what Colin had for his birdie. It's a ticklish one too, down the hill. Not much break in it. No mistake for big Colin. 1 under after 1, 14 under par for the tournament.
I'm feeling good, and that's why 3 shots clear of Norman. Couples 4 adrift at the moment. And Howard Clark at 9 under. Egman, Hussein, Tinning, Ernie Els, the defending champion, and the young man Stuart Cage at 8 under par. Cage having played 3 holes today. Yeah, 4K, Sweden, and Nick Price with that bad miss there, back to 8 under. Michael Campbell has made that significant move alongside Sven Struve, Australian Wayne Riley, Owen O'Connell from Ireland, and Raymond Burns, all at 7 under. O'Connell playing with Ernie Els today, by the way. And Sunsene and Sandeline at 6 under. Oops, something's just distracted Michael Campbell. Playing up the 13th.
Yes, he's got his drive down the right-hand side of the fairway, so it's going to make his second that little bit longer. But he's got his metal 3-wood out. It's just about in range. Glorious wood shot there. So he's got an obvious chance of another birdie to add to his haul today.
Now then, our first look today on the 7th at Australia's Wayne Riley. Sort of a temperamental type of player who's blows hot and cold. He's hoping it's going to be one of the hot days. He's got the Sam Torrance style of putting, with a long handle, but I'm afraid that's going to glide on and on and on. And not many would like the one coming back.
Langer's second shot to the 8th. He dropped his first stroke of the week at the par 4 5th today. Up to then he did 6 birdies and no bogeys. Gave it the old Arnold Palmer follow through. But it doesn't always mean with Burner that it's a crooked shot. Finds the putting surface. This 8th hole has been the second most difficult hole over the first 2 rounds, playing 4.27.
Mark James, extravagantly dressed today. The man who won here in 1989. Nurturing ambitions of repeating that. Should have a safe tap in.
Yes, and he usually comes good on Ryder Cup years. This 7th pin today looks very easy from the television, but it's cut on a little ridge, little high spot, so most of the greens are fairly flat, but there's a fair few breaks around this 7th hole. And any player missing the green to the right is going to have a difficult job to get down into, and of course that's where Wayne Riley was.
Important putt this one for Wayne Riley, who's given himself quite a bit to do. See the shadow on the green. Fortunately, it's not across his putting line. Well holed. So back to the leaders again. What a dream for the organisers to have Fred Couples and Colin Montgomerie paired together in the penultimate round. Two men at the top of their form as well, both with birdie chances here. Be a lovely way for Montgomerie to start the day with birdie. Couples, as you can see, has a rather longer putt.
Yes, and we saw Nicky Price with a very similar to one, and it's not an easy one to read. It's pretty straight overall. It goes both ways. This to move to 11 under. Right in the heart of the hole. We saw something that Nicky Price didn't. A great start for Fred Couples.
Yes, they'll be very aware, the rest of the field, are not letting Montgomerie get too far away from them, out of the traps. But he's got a chance here to go 4 clear. A very good chance as well for Montgomerie. Interesting that he chose not to change his putter at the same time as he was changing the rest of his clubs.
As he's stuck with one of his old faithfuls, he's got 2 or 3 of them. And this is for his 12th birdie in 20 holes. Well, what can we say? 15 under par, and Colin making this look very easy.
It's a dream of a start for him, isn't it?
Well, we have a look at this 3rd hole, 530 yards. Par 5. Drive to the top of the hill. Gives you an opportunity to reach the green too. You have to decide on the tee whether you're going for a big drive. You only do that if you can reach the green too, otherwise you have to lay up about 70-80 yards short of the green and try for a pitch and a putt to make your birdie. But I think these 2 players will be endeavouring to reach him too. And the pin today is cut just on the left-hand side over a little ridge.
Greg Norman playing after Price. Price up by the bunker already on the green side. Norman, and he also has missed the green on the left. Quite a stiff breeze there.
James has found the desert land, but he's avoided those bushes and he's got a pretty good lie, so he's been fortunate. Hooked his tee shot. We're trying to chase this one up the green. Caught it heavy, sand first. We've all done that before. So you put a lot of effort into it, and the ball only goes 50 or 60 yards.
So at a time like that, he's wishing he was back gardening at home. Now Nicky Price has got an awkward stance, as you can see. His 3rd. Negotiates it nicely, and it's coming round beautifully. That is the most perfectly judged shot.
Beautifully judged, just up and over that rise, judged to perfection. That's big Wayne Riley. Just leaped a little to the right there. Now Norman with very little green to work with. He's got quite a lot of sand to go over. Nope, I don't think he was in the sand. He's Played the parachute shot. What a wonderful effort that was too.
Paul Curry, winner of the Jersey Open in his time. On the 11th here. And, playing well this week. Looks in good control of his game. The man who's shot 60s and 62s in his career. And now we see a little desert scrub. There are so many different hazards out on this course. Mark James has found quite a few of them on this hole. It's a nice looking approach for him now. Up the 8th. Put that last shot out of his mind, and again a turn of the head suggests he wasn't altogether contented with that. He has found the green. Didn't look too bad to me.
I think he was trying for perfection there, Mr. James, as he always does. Now Norman, this was birdie 4. From left to right.
Well, he was really hoping to pull Montgomerie a little closer back towards him with that, but he's now got a 3-footer for par. Nothing inspirational as yet from the big Aussie. Or from the big Zimbabwean playing alongside him with the world's 1 and 2.
Yes, he was trying to force that putt in there, eliminate the break, firm and straight, but just allows for a bit of borrow. And he's still got a tester to save his par. Right in the centre of the cup. Norman, of course, runner-up here last year. Yeah, Nicky Price. Well, he wants to put that last green out of his mind, and I'm sure he will. He's had a lot of experience. Well done, Nicholas. Gets the stroke back and moves back to where he started at 9 under par.
Still 6 behind Colin Montgomerie, though. That's the important factor, isn't it? Now then, here again we see this broom handle putter for Wayne Riley. It's an outside shot, but if he gets one back here, it'll take him to 8 under. Gonna bumble it on down the thicker grass, and it rolls up beautifully. But it's going to be a par, but that was the realistic outcome for Wayne Riley. Now Montgomerie, we were talking about those Callaway clubs. He went to the factory in California to test them. Then he went to Jamaica, and he says that they're the easiest clubs to hit with that he's ever found.
This is ridiculous. The first 3 iron shots have not left the flag. Unbelievable. So 2 putts from there for another birdie. It was unfortunate, just pitched on that downslope, otherwise it'd have been even closer.
If it had gone in, I think the rest of the field might as well have gone home. Would have been sensational. Now Fred Couples, they were saying how much they enjoyed playing together in yesterday's round. Chivied each other along, Couples and Montgomerie. Couples was saying how much he liked Montgomerie's clubs too, and he's thinking of having a bit of a change.
Starting at the middle of the green. and drawing it back to the flag, and that was a bit unfortunate. Just pitched on that bank. Could have released a fraction. That would have been very adjacent, but two wonderful iron shots to the par 5 third.
Glorious setting here at the Emirates Golf Club in Dubai, just 5 miles out of the city centre. Colin Montgomerie, that makes very pleasant reading, doesn't it? 4 clear of Greg Norman and Fred Couples. Pierre Fourquet of Sweden on 9 under alongside Nicky Price. 4 players there on 8 under. Joachim Hagman in the clubhouse today after 65. Michael Campbell from New Zealand. Howard Clark's on the 8 under par mark too, and just picking out a few names for you. There's the defending champion Ernie Els at 7 under. Young Raymond Burns from Ireland on the same mark. Costantino Rocca from Italy, Ryder Cupman among those on the 5 under par mark. William Claes Eriksson from Sweden, Philip Walton from Ireland, and Bernhard Lange, Stephen Richardson, all 5 under. Very good scoring around the field from young and old alike. And here is Paul Curry.
For his 2, just slips past the edge. Paul is a marvellous putter when he gets his confidence together. Peter Baker's second shot to the long par 4 12th, and a lovely ball follow there. Just trundling over the back of the green. There's 12, 467 yards.
It's Saturday, so Peter Baker will be worrying about Wolverhampton Wanderers later this afternoon. This is Bernhard Lange, whose #1 sport has always been golf. Coming down the hill, the thing is, will it stop? That's the problem there, back towards the water. Just about holding on the edge. He won't be too amused by that. Difficult to make it stop.
Yes, looking at the club face, you know, a bit of grass between the club and the ball makes it difficult to control. That's always the danger of going in that Bermuda grass. Sometimes it sits on the top, and other times it nestles right down.
Lange, who'll be hoping to compete in his 8th Ryder Cup this year. Look at that. A Bedouin-style clubhouse here at the Emirates Golf Club in the United Arab Emirates. And that's the highway to Abu Dhabi in the background. So Montgomerie, who just missed the cup with his approach shot. A chance of an eagle. He wouldn't bet against it. He would say it was almost a certainty for him to get the birdie, which would be a 3rd in a row at the start of a day. What a nice hat-trick still to be done. And we'll be watching back in Troon. His father will be tuned in, I'm sure.
A little downhill, this one. And this will be 3 threes to start with, if he can hold this one. Stayed there, so has to be satisfied with his birdie 4. And that's birdie number 13. Of course, if he pops that one in for his last 20 holes.
This is just for par for Greg Norman. When we talk about just for pars these days, it just shows how they reduce the courses to rubble, these fellas.
Yeah, they're such aggressive golfers. All the equipment going for them, and of course in magnificent condition. The weather perfect. So, with the best in the world, they may all make it look rather easy, but I can assure you the course 7,100 yards. It's a pretty tough course.
Couples for eagle. Just off the apron. An eagle can make such a dramatic difference to a round. The world's #7. After rounds of 65 and 69, looks to have given it enough. Terrific stuff. Freddie Couples announces his charge up the leaderboard. Marvellous. 13 under, and that makes it a real contest again.
Electrifying stuff, I've got to say. Everyone always enjoys playing with Freddie Couples. This for Couples taps in.
Price 9 under. The mark he was on before that putt. Now then, Montgomerie for his birdie to go to 16. Yes, he does. And so he just picks up another shot to make the margin 3, having been reduced to 2 by Fred Couples a moment before.
And Montgomerie started with 3 birdies yesterday as well. So is it going to be another 63?
And yet for many players, the front 9 has been the hardest this week. Now it's Langer. And is this going to go in as well? Very, very close. It was the previous shot which had given him his problem, and anger for the German. So one of the stars of the morning, undoubtedly, Michael Campbell, the New Zealander. Campbell on the Challenge Tour last year, but really has arrived in style. And look at this, 3 more birdies on the back 9. That's 7, a horrendous 7 for him at the 10th, which has let him down. But he's 9 under now, and he's right up there after rounds of 69 and 71. He's going to do rather better than that today, one fancies. So on the 4th tee, 2 very, very happy customers indeed. Fred Couples, fresh from an eagle. Montgomerie, fresh from birdie, birdie, birdie.
.75 yards the hole today, 163 to the front, and pins on 12, 5 from the right, so it's quite tight to the right. Of course, there's water down there, so the players have really got to have their thinking caps on. The ideal shot, the percentage shot, is to try and put the ball pin high in the centre of the green. And the helicopter shot of this short hole. Plays down the hill. Today the breeze is right to left and helping, so though it's 175 yards, it'll be between a 7 and 8 iron for these 2 fellas. Water right, and the green slopes very much from left to right.
So let's see how Fred Couples negotiates the hole described for you there so graphically by Ken Brown. He has played this course a year or 2 ago now, Ken, I know, but it does help. Lovely rhythmical swing. He seems so effortless to Fred Couples. Into the bunker, as you can see.
He's got a bit frightened of the water. We saw a few do that yesterday. That leaves him quite a tricky bunker shot because it's all downhill. If you let the ball go past the flag, it can easily trickle off the other side of the green. Right, can Colin Montgomerie get another iron shot straight at the flag?
At 63 yesterday, matching his best rounds ever in Cannes, in the Lancôme Trophy and the Portuguese Open, but the first time he'd ever had 10 birdies in a round. Looks to have started it further right than Couples. Kind of missed the water initially. And pretty good stuff again.
That's exactly where he would have been aiming. He birdied 15, 16, 17, 18 to close his round yesterday, and he started off with birdies at 1, 2 and 3 today, so 7 in a row.
Steve Tinningham on the first day had a 67, 70 yesterday. That was a birdie putt for him. The man from Denmark, playing today with Retief from South Africa. A colourful twosome. Shortly be seeing Houston's South African compatriot Ernie Els, the defending champion here in Dubai. Houston's also got a birdie chance. He's had rounds of 69, 68, and I know a lot of people impressed by him. Peter Oosterhuis, who's working here this week, was watching him yesterday and thinks he's a real star of the future.
Yes, he's got a very, very good technique. It's the ball a long way. He's level par for his round today. He had an eagle at the third, but has dropped 2 strokes. Like a rabbit down a burrow, straight in the centre of the hole.
That's why Oosty likes him. 8 under now. Houston. And all these players are still in there with a shout of earning big money in Dubai this week. Mark James slipped back to 5 under. We've said it so many times, he starts the season well, and in a Ryder Cup year tends to be very consistent. And again, you see he started that out to the right, missing the water. This is Tinning, and he gets his 3. Another of the Scandinavians making an impact on the Volvo European Tour.
Fletch had a very good look at this one. How do you fancy this one? Water at the other side. This is where all the practice comes into it. You need full confidence. Just pitch it on the putting surface and then it release down to the hole side.
Terrific stuff again. We've just seen him eagle the 3rd, and now at the 4th, Fred Couples splashing out, and he should get his par there. Now here's the defending champion on 7. I wonder if he can hole in one like another South African, Wayne Westner, did on the first day. 6 iron for Els. Always shouts of come on. Oh, he couldn't have been closer, could he?
Well, he's level par for his round today, 8 under, but a very birdieable putt on the 7th.
Playing today with Owen O'Connell from Ireland. Very busy golfer who's been playing around the world during the autumn and winter months. 5 iron for O'Connell. But Els, a huge figure of a man, leading 1 club less.
O'Connell finished last season very, very well. He looked like he was going to lose his card, but suddenly hit form. And he seems to be retaining just that.
Safely on. Not quite as good as Els, but it's a funny old game this. He could go and hole his, and Els might miss his, who knows. Now then, Montgomerie, the leader. Just for another birdie. Not quite there, so almost disappointing when he doesn't birdie a hole. Birdie, 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 but now a par for Montgomerie at the 4th. Keeps him well in front there at 16 under, 3 clear. Three clear of Couples, 5 clear of Norman, and 7 clear of Michael Campbell and Howard Clark. What next for Bernhard Langer?
Well, this is his 2nd shot to the par 5 10th. Got his metal railer. Going for a big high draw. Well, he got a good contact on it. It's just a question whether it's on line. You'll be quite happy with that. Because if the green's out of range, you either have to lay well back and leave yourself a full sandwich, or try and run it into that bunker, that horseshoe-shaped bunker that guards all round the front of this 10th green.
Looks quite hazy out in the desert today, doesn't it? This modern miracle. The Emirates Golf Course opened only in 1988, in the March indeed. Took only 18 months from the start of building to completion. Here's Nicky Price. short game is generally immaculate, and he lives up to the billing.
Yes, that little tiddler to save his par 4 on the 5th. That was off tape, and Norman just off the edge of the green. We've seen a lot of people putt from this situation, but the reason he won't be is the grass. The nap on the grass will be going straight towards him, so I want to pitch this one onto the green.
Curling round, but not quite enough. Fred Couples did get his par on the 4th, playing alongside Montgomerie, so both of them safely in with their 3s there. So status quo at the top with Montgomerie 16 under, Couples 13 under, Norman 11 under. Campbell, Clark, Fulke and Price all on the 9 under par mark. And back to Ernie Els and Owen O'Connell on the 7th green.
Well, O'Connell has been changing different putters, but he's this week using a great big long broom handle type one, 44 inches long. Let's look at his card. Going along quite steadily, just dropped that 1 stroke at the 4th. He's got one of the old favourite caddies, been on the tour for a long, long while, ever since I can remember anyway, called the General. A lot of the caddies have some very odd nicknames. Bad Luck Chuck and Squeaky, Jeff Medlin, Nicky Price's caddy, Joe the Pro, who caddies for Couples. Caddies, of course, becoming more and more important to the tour players, get the yardages. And this putt now for a 2 for O'Connell. There's his technique.
It's a king-size putter. Always been a devotee of this. David Ledbetter pupil O'Connell. Not going to come round, is it? Leaves him another 4 or 5 feet to go. The man from Killarney. Constantina Rocca, Ryder Cup man, 2 years ago, hoping to make the side again this year in Rochester. Punches the ball. Thick forearms. And, oh, he's it! Oh, gosh, that was so close. Well, very, very close indeed to the 2nd hole in one of the week.
And this fellow also nearly had a hole in one. It's on the 7th, only for his 2.
It's a birdie for him. Ernie Els makes his first move of the day. The Langest 3rd out of the bunker at the 10th, and just needed it to stop. It's going to give him 10 feet to come back. And the gods haven't been on his side so far today, Bernard Lange. Such a great player, though. He won't let anything trouble him. And O'Connell, we saw him miss on the right a few moments ago, and now he's got a saving putt. 3-4 feet.
Just a little bit from left to right.
Solid stuff, just the 1 shot dropped so far today for Owen O'Connell. Marvellous for him to be paired with Ernie Els. I'm sure they can still teach one another a thing or two. And Els is a good listener, despite the fact he's one of the top players anywhere in the world. So it really is a perfect day for golf. And the crowd's coming out and enjoying every minute of the 6th Dubai Desert Classic, which has produced classic winners over the years: Mark James, Eamon Darcy, Seri Ballesteros, Wayne Westner, Ernie Els, and I wonder if this man is going to be next on the roll of honour. So his European Tour wins number 7, 3 of them last year. It's pretty safe to say he'll go over the 3 million mark this week.
I think with every chance of that. Was his first loose shot here into the rough on the right hand side of the 5th, 168 yards. Out of position off the tee, now slightly out of position with his second shot. Hooson has set up another chance for a birdie on number 8. He's left himself the easiest possible putt on the green, straight up. Very little borrow on it. And I hope I'm right, as you're going to see if I'm not.
Well, that looked all the way in for me, and no doubt for Hooson too. It is astonishing, these putts, how sometimes you can be absolutely certain that it's on the way in, and they take the slightest little deviation and let you down. But Hooson from Petersburg in South Africa, still having a good week here in Dubai. Finished second here 2 years ago to Wayne Westner. With half a dozen victories in his career in South Africa, but he's still wondering how that one's got away, I'm sure. 8 under, Retief Hooson.
Yes, he knew it was a little uphill. Hit it a little bit too firm.
Well, this fellow is on fire today. Michael Campbell, 10 under par now. Look at those birdies dotted around. The 1st, the 3rd, 5th, 6th, 11th, 13th, 14th and 16th. So 2 to play, and it's probably, I think, the best round of Michael Campbell's career.
Yes, a wonderful effort. Yeah, rocker. Down the hill for a 2 on the 11th. Right in the heart. That'll bring a smile to the Italian stallion.
Right down the middle of the motorway, that one, wasn't it? Didn't budge an inch. Now then, Montgomerie's given himself the first problem of the day, really. He's been robotic in his play so far. Two shots for his par.
The 5th, 435 yards. A very generous landing area, straight hole. There's very little breeze about today. Colin was a bit wry with his tee shot. Second shot played over the lake, doesn't come into play really unless you get a very bad lie in the rough. And the green with very little guarding it, just a few humps and hollows, a nice big fringe. Colin has pushed a bit to the right here. The good thing going for him is the fact he's got plenty of green to work with.
His first test of the day. Has he passed it? Well, he'd have liked it to have been a couple of feet closer.
Yes, I think that was about a 7.5 out of 10 for Colin.
Our first look today at Howard Clark. Another who always seems to come good in Ryder Cup years. Although it's a year or two since he's played now. That looks very good, and Howard Clark shows that he's really in the peak of form at the moment, and he at 10 under par, not far behind. Well, that was recorded a few moments ago as we go back live now to his playing partner, Pierre Fulker.
Another gem of an iron shot.
Stuart Cage, a new name to many people. Chance of a birdie at the start of today's round. He hasn't dropped a shot in the previous 2 rounds. Just misses his birdie, but that's going to be another par for Cage, the 21-year-old from the Sandmore Club in Leeds.
And indeed, that's his 7th par in a row today.
Couples. Outside chance of a birdie. Will it go boom boom in the hole? Good support here this week. The Americans seem to turn up to support him everywhere. He's inspirational today. We saw him eagle the third, and now Fred Couples shelling peas, they say. Just all in a day's work, isn't it? 2 in it now. Montgomerie 16 under, Couples 14 under, and just a possibility that Montgomerie could drop a shot, and it really would hot things up.
Second shot of Norman to the 6th. Very narrow green, this one. Well, the flag is today just 10 yards wide, so you've got to be very accurate. Just drifting off to the right now. That's going to be a ticklish bunker shot. Little green to work with, and what there is slopes away from him. The 6th, 450-yard par 4. Very much a dog leg from left to right. The players got to be careful they don't drive through the dog leg. They have to put a bit of fade on their tee shot. But it's a generously wide fairway at 45 yards. And the second shot to this green that lies very much from left to right.
Critical putt. I was just saying there that there could have been a swing, but Montgomerie's holed safely enough. Stays at 16 under, but with Couples playing alongside him, might even bring the best out in. I think they're bringing the best out in one another at the moment.
Well, Couples' birdie there was his 4th 3 in a row. 2 of those birdies and 1 was an eagle.
Stays at 8 under par. Raymond Burns, the young man who did some car valeting in the States to sponsor his golf over there. Determined march. Norman, his 3rd shot here to the 6th. He's left himself with 2 or 3 of these where he has to fly the ball through. This time he opts for the lower trajectory.
It was a very difficult one, because where his ball was landing was on the down slope. Couldn't get any check on it. So disappointing one there for the big white shark.
Price looking to go 10 under. Seems to have been around the 8 under, 9 under par mark for a long time in this tournament now. Price has started 66, 69, and yes, at long last, he says. Nicely done. Really kicked himself earlier in the round when he had a lapse of concentration on the green, but it was just a trace of a smile there. 10 under. Here's Els. Showing birdie the 7th. Here he is on the 8th. Second shot. It's pretty good.
Very well controlled and professionally played shot right in the centre of the green. Now Norman is to save his par 4.
More disappointment for Norman. It was that shot out of the bunker, which was such a difficult one for him to control. And he had that downhill lie, left himself a nasty distance back and a shot gone. So Greg Norman, like Nicky Price, now at 10 under. So Colin Montgomerie still the man to chase. He's picked up 3 already today, with 3 birdies, 1st, 2nd and 3rd. But Fred Couples, the one who's perhaps looking to put on a squeeze. Retief Hussein is 2nd to the 9th, coming up towards the clubhouse.
Big drive, 175 yards left. Pin cut tight towards the water today, so centre of the green is the sensible shot. But Hussein Ever aggressive, going right at the flag. Super shot. Just looking into the sun there, he can't quite see how close it is. He's perhaps expecting the crowd to be clapping.
So just dropping back a couple of holes, we find Howard Clark on the 7th tee. 184 yards over the lake, over the koi fish, onto the green. Exactly what the doctor ordered.
Yeah, the short 7th today has been played off a tee slightly forward and to the left of that cart path, so it's a different angle of attack. The tee a bit sheltered in the tree, sometimes you can't feel which direction the wind is blowing. As a result, the hole playing just 169 yards today. Right hand side, got a little bit of a slopey area. You really want to keep the ball left of the flag for the easiest putt.
Fulker playing with Clark today on this 7th. We saw Ernie Els almost hole on there a moment ago. Fulker's left himself a 20-footer. And now here is Els on the 8th green. Having just got that birdie, he'll be feeling pretty good about life. Another one now would do nicely. He's birded the last two, but on this occasion that's dribbled by. So it's going to be no better than par here. Three straight pars, then a bogey, another par, and then two birdies, but this is for par. Els a winner in his native South Africa 2 weeks ago. That's his first win there for 2 years as well. Seems strange to say. That's never a problem.
He's got a wonderful touch and a beautiful method. If you ever want to copy anybody's putting technique, this fella's as good as anyone. Everything's spot on. Connell using a very odd technique with his long putter. Not dissimilar to one that Orville Moody used to use in his day on the US Tour, and of course he plays on the US Senior Tour now. But it's working. And Connell taps that one in and remains 6 under par for the tournament.
One of the great names of golf, that's wasn't it, Orville Moody. I wonder if this is going to be a great name of the future. 1 hole to play for Michael Campbell, who started the day at 4 under par and is now at 10 under and right in contention. Thank you to all those birdies for that. 8 of them. Montgomerie started with those 3 birdies. And generally his long irons today have been quite magnificent. Gives this a good old rattle. And again, he's not far away.
An excellent shot. And that flag not moving at all. And the players taking their opportunities on a perfect day for golf to make some birdies. Yeah, Howard Clark, can he take this one? It's going to break from right to left, particularly when it slows down.
Beautifully judged and unfortunate. Just one more turn of the ball, I think, would have taken it home. So Clark obviously tapped in there for his par, and now it's back to Freddie Couples, who's really started in scintillating mood.
137 yards on a 9-iron. Just not quite enough club, but managed to carry that front bunker.
Good crowd following that match with Fred Couples and Colin Montgomerie. This is Pierre Fulke of Sweden, Many people think it won't be long before he wins on the tour. There is his part. There's his American caddy, just popping the flag back in. And, waiting just behind them on the tee, Nicky Price.
Six iron for Price. Just a lovely brisk rhythm. Such a superb, consistent contact on the ball. And lets that one go out to the right. Price just not quite on his top form this week. Norman just asking perhaps to put that umbrella down. He thinks the shadow is over his ball, but in fact I think he's now realised it's the tree and not the umbrella.
And, by the way, although that sign says hole in one, 100,000 dirhams, that is no longer available, I'm afraid, after Wayne Westner won it on the first day. So a hole in one would come in quite handy now, wouldn't it?
Get out of the water.
Get over the water, he says. Well, he hit water at the 18th yesterday, did Greg Norman. He's safely over this time, though. A slightly uphill putt. Here's the banter catch.
Yes, with a two-stroke lead over his playing partner. 16 under to 14 under. Third position now, just slipping a little bit behind. Further down the leaderboard there. Els, and of course Hegman's finished his round. A wonderful 65. He was a second group out today. And the two youngsters, Burns and Cage, just hanging on nicely. This for another 3. Now for Colin, that is an errant one. He doesn't often miss the hole by very much. They always seem to go so close. When they miss, they don't drift off miles offline. Always a sign of a good putter.
And Hard Langer second at the 12th. Par 4, 467 yards. All uphill from now. Has it got the legs? Barely. It's not been one of Langer's better weeks in the practice rounds, and on Tuesday the special challenge where he said he'd never driven the ball worse in his life, and yet he felt his overall game wasn't bad.
The 18th. Par 5. They've moved the tee up today about 20 yards, so that enabled the players to really cut the dog leg off, and they're trying to entice them to going for the green in 2. A good drive puts you about here. And then today it's going to leave you about a second shot of about 220 yards, just enough to think, can I get over the water? If you can't, you have to lay up to here, then it leaves you a pitch and a putt to make your birdie. Michael Campbell's reached this stage. Make his mind up exactly what he wants to do. He doesn't want to spoil his card on this 18th, and he's found that rough on the right hand side, so he's got the old metal Mickey out, which suggests he's going to have a go for it.
Brave man. We saw Greg Norman suffer the consequences last night. It's par 5 here would give him a round of 66 today. The birdie would give him a 65. Now, very important shot this for Michael Campbell. Is she there? Well, is she there? My, well, it's not only there, it's gone all the way through.
Yes, he made sure he took enough club to get over. Of course, coming out of the rough, couldn't really get any stop on it, but that was a lovely shot, just what he was trying to do. Couples his long birdie effort on the 6th. Made a nice ring. Have you hit it, Fred? Have you hit it? Oh, my goodness. Just seemed to turn at the edge of the hole. He remains at 14 under.
Well, he's improved his position by 4 shots from overnight. Nick Price has played up. He's still not in the hole, and now it's Greg Norman. Needs a birdie, really, having just dropped a shot. Not a lot of breeze around to disturb Greg Norman, but just fails to find the cup, going by about 2.5 feet on the right.
Nothing really happening for these two at the moment. They're just playing for position, hoping that something's going to happen later on in the round. And there's still, of course, one more round to go after this. You just can't force birdies out of the course some days. You just have to be patient.
Norman exactly as he was at the start of the day, 10 under par. Well, the rueful look. Well, he certainly had time for breakfast this morning, teeing off just after 1 o'clock here on this lovely day in the United Arab Emirates. Get the scorecard right. So many things to think about on the golf course. One lady inadvertently marked her first outward 9 down on the score instead of what she actually scored at the 9th hole, and it were a round of 128. Yeah, Nick Price. Yes.
It's 1 under par for his round and 10 under for the tournament. It was a very good up and down from there because his tee shot was not in a very good spot.
Colin Montgomerie, 16 under, leads by 2 from Fred Couples, playing together today. Michael Campbell is the one who's really made a move onto 10 under alongside Howard Clark, Pierre Falke, Nick Price, Greg Norman. Joachim Hadwin, 65 from him today. Wayne Riley and Retief Hussein, Raymond Burns from Ireland, all on the 8 under par mark. As we move down, we pick up Ryder Cup hopes like Mark James there at 6 under. Watanabe from Japan, 5 under. Wayne Westner on the same mark, and only 1 on the first day. Alexander Chaker from Germany, 5 under, alongside compatriot Bernhard Langer and England's Stephen Richardson, another who would hope to be in the European Ryder Cup team.
Look across the lake to that 7th tee. Discussion with his caddy there, exactly the yardage. They've made the decision, they like it, because it's right between a 7 and an 8 iron for Fred. And look at the loft on that one, he's gone for the 8.
Doesn't look to like it too much, does he? And that is why. I think it's in the drink. Well, an 8 iron sounded ambitious to me, Ken, and it was over-ambitious from Freddie Couples. That's just down to the wrong decision.
Yes, he was caught between 2 clubs. Well, this fella hasn't been caught between any clubs today. It's been a marvellous round of golf. Absolutely delightful touch. And that's given him another birdie opportunity on this par 5 18th.
Which would give him a round of 65 today. Now then, Colin Montgomerie on the 7th. As he measured it, rather better than Fred Couples. Well, would you believe that? How close can you come? He's got some wading to do.
Yes, maybe the wind is just swirling about a little bit. It's very unusual that players like this should give the water, take a club that's give the water any chance of coming into play. Now big Howard on the centre of the 8th green. He's left himself a big swinging left to right putt for his birdie 3.
He gave it a good firm wrap. It's going to give him another 4 feet to come back. Always appears slightly disgruntled with his game, does Howard Clark?
Yeah, he sets himself very exacting standards.
I think it's certainly worth looking at Freddie Couples' tee shot again at 7 here. An extraordinary that both he and Howard Clark should have problems, but this is a replay of what happened just a couple of minutes ago with Fred Couples, who's normally so right with his club selection. And I think he knew. He said go, he said no, and in she went. Probably just bounced back in off the grass.
Now he's dropped his ball in the drop zone, one of the options. 100 yards from there. Full sand wedge. If he'd hold that, he'd have saved his par. That would have been something.
Well, we've had just about everything this week, from holes in one on the first day, players chipping in from all over yesterday. And yes, maybe the club needs a drink. Now then, Michael Campbell then for a birdie putt in a round of 65 today for the New Zealander. What a wonderful day it's been for him. There's the card.
7 threes and a 2. Terrific effort. Only that one blemish, a double bogey at the par 5 10th, which generally is a pickup hole. But a terrific round of golf and put himself right into contention.
He'll be on his way to see the gentlemen of the press in a few moments. They'll no doubt all want to talk to him, find out all about him, especially as a new name. He won't have been interviewed too many times, I imagine. This fellow's done countless interviews over the years. Greg Norman, world number 2, and a chance in fact to go to world number 1 if he were to beat Price by a certain margin here this week.
Yes, if Nicky Price finishes 3rd or worse and Greg can win, he becomes the number 1 golfer in the world. Shorten that swing up. Doesn't like it. That's not bad, just a little left. He's a little bit disgruntled with himself.
Yeah, he and Howard Clark both, we were just saying, and as you were saying, they do expect so much of themselves nowadays. It's the right attitude, and this game is very much about attitude. Price is 2nd here at the 8th. He started the day 9 under. Norman 10 under.
Trying to work the ball in from left to right. Open stance, cutting across the ball. And he too has to be satisfied with one in the middle of the green. From where they stand, they just can't tell where the ball is finished.
Well, Nicky Price, who actually missed 3 cuts in 5 tournaments last spring. It's easy to forget things like that because at the same time he'd won 3 tournaments.
That's the way to do it, isn't it? So he's working at the weekend.
Yes. Retief Hussain with an eagle chance. On the 10th.
This would be his second eagle of the round, one at the third. I can remember one year at the Jersey Open, Gordon Brand Jr. getting 4 eagles in one round.
It's more than some people get in a lifetime. So is this going to be number 2? So the shorter distance than the first one, but he's very shy with that.
Just misjudged coming out of the fringe.
Important now for Colin Montgomerie's nerve to hold. Saying yesterday he was faultless. Never played a bad shot all day, but his tee shot wasn't very good. Well, he's left himself 10 feet to save par. His mood might be tested.
Yes, things are just changing momentarily. These two fellas are trying to bring the rest of the field closer to them. Norman, not only one of the longest and most accurate players in the US Tour, he's a great putter as well. Montgomerie for his 3.
It's the first one that's got away from him today. 1 shot dropped, and it brings Freddie Couples a little closer to him at 14 under. But of course, Fred's had his problems as well on this hole. So unfortunately, he's ironically, but just at the moment when Couples could have put the squeeze on Montgomerie, he also is going to drop at least 1 shot. He's got to make sure he doesn't drop 2 with this putt. Yes, that's all right. It's a good recovery after his tee shot went in the water, and so he's 13 under. But he'll know it's a chance gone begging. Montgomerie dropping a shot, so it's Montgomerie 15, Couples 13, and Michael Campbell from New Zealand 11 under par. Nick Price with a birdie chance at the 8th. That's skating on by. He's another one who looks not entirely too happy with life today on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, they feel there's so many birdie opportunities to be had out on the course that if they're not making any, you try and force them. You just have to be patient.
Well, patience has been the name of the game for Nick Price. I mean, he had the chance to win the Open years and years and years ago. Didn't make it, in fact, until he was into his 30s, did he? He finally came good.
This for a 3 for Norman.
They all knew, didn't they? In was the message, and that never looked as though it was going to go anywhere else. So, birdie for Craig Norman, his 2nd of the day. Had one bogey, so Norman on to 11 under. It's shaping up very nicely with Montgomerie now leading by 2 from Couples and by 4 from Campbell and Norman. Don't forget Ernie Els at the bottom of that leaderboard there either. 9 under, midway through his round today. And the news is he's got an opportunity to pick up even further onto the leaderboard on the 10th.
Fred Couples setting up down that left side of the fairway.
Cut.
Asking it to cut a little more. Just stays out of the desert. Just slightly in the rough. That's going to leave him a long 2nd shot from there. It just depends on his lie. And if ever there was a tee shot set up for Colin Montgomerie, this is it. His natural shot is very much from left to right. Sets up slightly to the left as well. Club goes outside the line, just holds it there and swings slightly across the ball. And that looks to be heading a bit left too.
tall, muscular man, and you've got to get it absolutely right on this course, which can be unforgiving.
Well, very unusual for Colin Montgomerie there. He aimed down the left, but squared the face up, and he hit it down that left-hand side amongst those palm trees. So he's in the lap of the gods. See how this fairway does move from left to right. Very much uphill. The second shot plays about a club and a half longer than the yardage. So if it was a 7-iron, it'd be between a 6 and a 5-iron. There's the big Magulus, the meeting point, right on the top highest point of the course.
As we told you, on the par 5 10th, Ernie Els with the chances here to pick up shots. Important approach for him, for the South African, but it's that thick grass at the side of the green, just avoided the bunker. He might have been better off in the bunker, in fact.
Yeah, certainly if it's sitting down, the bunker is a much better spot. Just wondering whether it is in the sand or just cleared it.
The man who shot that fantastic round of 61 on the opening day here 12 months ago, and went on to win the tournament by 6 shots from Greg Norman.
Here is Greg Norman. This tee as well has been moved a bit forward, 20 yards, to shorten the hole up to try and bring the left-hand water into play. Keep these players thinking.
Yep.
Well, that's perfect. Absolutely in the centre of the fairway. Just left himself about 160 yards.
Well, on every tee here are some ingots, aluminium ingots, 20 kilograms in weight, and they make 6 million of those every year. The chances, if you have a car with alloy wheels, they came from Dubai.
Come on.
Well, Price finding the bunker at the corner of the dogleg. He looks to be fairly near to the edge of it. These bunkers are beautifully raked here, though, so if you get a decent stance, that hard of a shot.
This was Price a moment ago with a saving par. Very important for him, that. It could have been a tricky one, slightly downhill, and he could puff up the cheeks. Thank goodness for that. So the double open champion last year. Well, Monty's found plenty. We know there's plenty of sand out in the desert, but he wasn't expecting to be in this.
That's what they call a waste area. You can ground your club and take your stance fairly. Even have a practice swing. Bit of a tree in front of him, so the best he can do is shunt it up to where Mark James was earlier on in the day, leave himself a third shot of about 135 yards up the hill. So Montgomerie opening the door to the others, dropping a stroke at the last and struggling here at the 8th.
Yes, very much so. 434 yards. Well, couples now. And it's perfect for him to be playing with Montgomerie, of course, and know that he's got a chance here of just whittling that advantage down to a mere 1 shot.
Ball just nestled down in his Bermuda rough. Barry Carter, the head greenkeeper, says it normally gets down to around the 40-degree mark, but overnight it's getting up in the 50s, so this grass growing very quickly. It's a good bit longer than it was at the start of the week. Well, couple's getting a very friendly members bounce there, just off the edge of the putting surface on the 8th.
Good crowd here at the Emirates Golf Club, following the world's best players around. And don't give you a long delay before this fella's the world's #1. He's certainly come well to the fore over the last 2 seasons. He's playing some superb golf again here.
He's already a winner this season. 1 under par for his round today. Yeah, Howard. Beautifully done. Saves his par on the 9th. I've got a funny feeling he's going to be in the Ryder Cup team.
This man won't be, but he's a winner. Ernie Els, he's got that winning feeling, and he's 9 under par here. Started on the first day with a 68. Followed it up yesterday with another 68. He's picked up 1 shot today.
And there's that stance I was a bit concerned about. He's going to have to stand a long way above the ball. Very, very difficult. This will be gripping right on the very top of the grip. 163 yards. Oh, played that splendid shot from there. A little bit better than that one, but he had a flat stance, so he'd be reasonably happy with that. Didn't want to take the challenge of the water on.
Well, I'd like to be a cameraman, I think, on a day like today. The sun's shining, and I won't tell everybody where we're locked away, Kenny, but we're not going to get a tan today.
No, but we're certainly enjoying this golf. It's quite outstanding. We've got some of the best golfers in the world, including our very own Colin Montgomerie, Europe's #1. Going down the shaft on a pitching wedge.
Might just have salvaged the situation, but he's still got an awkward length putt. Funny old game, as they say. I mean, the first 2 days it's been perfect for Montgomerie. He just dropped the 1 shot and 10 birdies yesterday. Today, after birdie start, things not quite coming so easily to him. Maybe he's overconfident in those clubs.
Yes, and still looks very nice reading though. Not a 5 on his card. And still in command of the situation. Giving his glove to Alistair McLean, his caddy. Very important to keep a dry glove with you.
Norman hit water yesterday, but that was at the 18th. Today's on the 9th. Trying to steer this one across the lake. Beautiful lake at the front of the Emirates Clubhouse. And, no problems this time for the big Australian.
It's the short 11th we go to next. Ernie Els is next hole. The pin today cut very front left-hand side, playing 147 yards. Very much a birdieable hole. Plays downhill as well, and what breeze there is should be slightly helping. So it's certainly a hole they'll be looking to pick up a stroke on. Just a 9-iron for Els.
Very decorative hole. And a very decorative shot to go with it.
I don't think I've ever seen so many iron shots fired straight at the flag.
Strange to think Freddie Couples actually missed the cut here last year. Couldn't believe it. He's looking in supreme form at the moment. Some of the players do take a week or 2 to get going at the start of a year, but Couples has had plenty of golf, of course.
Hurry.
Looks to have judged it reasonably well, but gathered from the word hurry that he thought it was never quite going to have enough petrol in it.
After a slightly errant tee shot, finding the left rough, a 4 will be a satisfactory result.
Couples marking, and so it'll be Montgomerie next. Before he does have that putt, Colin Montgomerie, we can go back to the 10th tee and to Howard Clark, a veteran of 5 Ryder Cups. Ken Brown sure it's going to be 6. He's way off to the left. Hooked it badly, but you could still see the ball bouncing along. But that's going to be an awkward second for him.
Yes, it is a par 5 though. It'll just mean that he won't be able to reach for 2 unless the ball's sitting up. There it is, the 10th hole. It's been the easiest hole on the course this week. Currently playing at 4.68 and 3 eagles, so there is that opportunity. And I think this is the most important shot of Colin's round thus far today. Just to keep the momentum going. How did that stay out? Drops a stroke, and now just with a 1-stroke lead.
And that 63 of yesterday, just a distant memory at the moment, which is why it's a rather sullen looking Colin Montgomerie who leaves the green. Now the leader by 1 shot. Greg Norman to come to 12 under. Fred Couples got his 4 on the 8th. And is Norman going to make this one? He is. He's held 2 or 3 longish ones now today. And Greg Norman suddenly delights the galleries here with a bit of a move up the leaderboard. So Montgomerie drops a shot, Norman picks one up, Couples is in the sandwich between them. And again, as we said earlier, the cream is really coming to the top here. Colin Montgomerie, 14 under par. After 8 holes today. Fred Couples 13 under, Greg Norman 12 under. 3 of the top players in the world. Michael Campbell, a brilliant round from him today, 65. Howard Clark out there at 9 under, still well in. Joachim Heckman, 65 today as well. Wayne Riley and Raymond Burns sticking on the 8 under par mark. And young Stuart Cage at the bottom of that particular leaderboard on the 7 under par mark. Tinning and Rocker, Checker and Sanderlin from Sweden.
Well, this will be Els' 4th birdie of the day if he can hold it. 3 under par. Very little borrow on this front part of the green. Almost dead straight. Very upright hands, not dissimilar to George Archer, a veteran American pro. Just dragged it. He knew as soon as he hit it, it was left. Number 3 for the US Open champion, and he remains at 10 under par.
He won with a score of 20 under par last year. So no question how he loves this golf course. And there is the Modulus, and there is Colin Montgomerie. Don't think there'll be many meetings in there this week. Everybody's been out on the golf course, which you get a lovely view of here. 9th tee. Couples had 2 4s here the first 2 days. 463 yards, a long hit down towards the lake on the left. So 3 wood for Couples.
Yes, he's just worried about running into that left-hand water. You can hit a 3 wood straight. If you took a drive, you'd have to shape it round the shape of the fairway, which is from left to right. Just held up. That's his perspiring a little, maybe. Won't be nerves, that's for sure. Fred Couples. Interesting, Fred Couples was talking about the Ryder Cup this year from an American point of view, obviously, saying that it looked as though the European team was building up nicely, but he was a little worried that 1 or 2 of the old hands in America, people like Lanny Wadkins, might not be up there this time. Curtis Strange have been such dominant figures over the years. Yes, I think it's a slight changing of the guard in America. Look at that. 3 wood. popped it into that bunker that Nicky Price was in. We can't see it. So maybe he's up against the face.
Well, this is the way the Ryder Cup is shaping up this year, with Severiano Ballesteros not playing here this week. Bernhard Langer, Jose Maria Olafabel, Ian Woosnam, another absentee this week. David Guilford, he's been steady around this course. Montgomerie, Per Ulrich Johansson. One or two new names perhaps going to be in the European team. Now then, what can Colin Montgomerie contrive down this ninth? Well, that's good. Gives him an excellent chance of getting up to the green in two.
Perfect position, ball sitting up nicely.
As for the American side, well, Tom Lehman, Lauren Roberts, they've not played in the Ryder Cup. Corey Pavin has. Fuzzy Zeller, of course, has. Phil Mickelson, former amateur champion. Bill Glasson. Tom Kite, he is one of the veterans. And Mark McCumber, remember him playing at the Belfry 1989.
Norman on the 10th tee. There'll be no holding back here. He knows if he can get a big drive away, he might just be able to reach the putting surface with an iron, and that's a beauty.
Can be quite a daunting start to the back nine. I noticed there's a big sign up there which says no cameras. Don't think many people have taken much notice of that this week. No camcorders, it says. The important thing about cameras is not to click them at a time like that.
Yes, that isn't very popular. Another drive in the perfect position. Price, who's top of driving, overall driving in America, averages tee shot to 277 yards, and here's why. Beautiful wide takeaway, a lot of resistance in the lower half, very little hip turn, perfect position at the top of the swing, right on plane, drops it a little bit on the inside, and really releases that club head through the ball, and that really is a classic swing.
Falky, one of the newer names on the Volvo Tour. A boy who seems to be getting much more consistent than in his early days, and it is very much a learning experience for these youngsters. They play well one week and not so well the next. And the secret is to just keep nursing the ball around, keep it in contention, and the good days happen more frequently.
And his playing partner here, the third shot of Howard Clark. Be a little disappointed he's in the rough. See, when the ball lands, it always releases. He's pitched it on the perfect spot. He's done very well to bring that one up short of the flag.
Great stylist, isn't he? Former British boys champion. Now then, Freddie Couples. There's the ball. Ken Brown was wondering where it was a few minutes ago. Well, Ken, I don't think that either you nor I would like that one particularly, especially me.
Yeah, that's a really nasty spot. The ball did disappear, and I thought it'd gone into the bunker. Obviously to the right of that. While Fred is debating what he's going to do, Colin, 180 yards, second to the ninth.
Sounded a smooth strike.
From a high camera, we didn't quite see where that one finished, but we know exactly where Fred is. Now he's got to put some thought into this. His option is he could drop it out, and if he does that, he knows he ought to be able to reach from that situation. This ninth hole, the most difficult hole on the course, playing at 4.34. He's trying to chip it out. He's been fortunate to scuttle through the bunker.
As you saw on that caption, there have been 69 bogeys already on this hole. And first 2.5 days. Still plenty of golf left today. Montgomerie 1 ahead of Couples at the moment, but Couples in trouble. Norman 2 behind Montgomerie, Michael Campbell in the clubhouse, and Pierre Fulke 11 under with 9 to play. Fulke with a chance to go joint third with Greg Norman. There is his birdie chance, Pierre Fulke. 23 years of age. In his biography it says he likes wildlife. I take that to mean the birds and the bees, and we've seen facets of wildlife out here on the course. Including the sandfly, which is not surprising in the desert. So Fulke for birdie. Not going to make it. Another par for the young Swede there. Fulke did in fact get his 5, and now it's Couples' 3rd shot to this 9th green.
147 yards. It's going down the shaft. He's standing below the ball. A little anxiously, but just manages to carry over the water. Colin's ball just finished off the fringe, so he's safe.
Well, Montgomerie's shot just eluded us a few moments ago, but I can tell you he's just off the fringe and not in any trouble. Now then, Howard Clark, another birdie would do nicely, but not with that one. Come on, come on. You're supposed to move. Ernie Els, the 2nd to 12. 188 yards to the front. No supply to us from the course, and he's up there. But a long way to go. But Ernie Els you would never rule out, because he's one of those players, as we found last year, who can shoot very low rounds indeed. And what better way of earning a living than strolling down the fairways in the Middle East on a scorching Saturday afternoon with a bit of breeze as well.
He certainly looked like he was enjoying it as well. Now Howard up ahead on the 10th green. He's for his par. He's holding out well. Good one on the 9th, and another ticklish one finishes in the bottom of the cup there. He remains at 9 under par. A bit cross with himself. Price going with his driver from the fairway, 270 yards. Don't think he'll be able to carry it onto the front of the green. He's probably trying to chase it into the front bunker.
Well read, Ken. It was a long way. Just trying to get his round, get some momentum into it. It's not quite been there.
Well, Greg with a few extra yards off the tee. Just trying to analyse where the wind is. It does change around during the day here. And he's got an extra 30 yards from the tee, so 240. It's just a question whether he can get there with an iron or he has to take a wood. He'll be keen to take an iron because he can get a bit more stop on it, hit it a little higher. His caddy. He's caddy for one of the top players, Raymond Floyd. Well, he's going with his 3 wood, so he'll have to take a little bit off this. Down the left and try and fade the ball with a slightly open club face. This is what you call a 3/4 3 wood. Well, nearly a brilliant shot. Did cut it back, just slightly overcooked it. 2 big blows. on this 549-yard par 5.
He's still 2 behind Colin Montgomerie, the outright leader. Fred Couples between Montgomerie and Norman on the leaderboard, but only 4 shots separating the first 7 players at the moment. Now that's how close Monty was to the drink. The cameraman was looking where that ball was. We get so used to seeing balls fly onto the putting surface. He wasn't far away, was he? But just in this little, Bermuda grass, hoping for a chip in, not quite making it. But it will be a 4 for Montgomerie.
A very classy shot there. Sliding the club under the ball, getting it to land very, very softly.
Stays at 14 under. Doesn't look like being a 63 today, but interestingly, he was saying yesterday he was looking to shoot around a 68 when he got 63. Couples has given himself a bit of a headache at this hole. Coming uphill, don't think he's given it enough. And he's left with 3.5, 4 feet, and that was just a moment or 2 ago. And now back live. Couples does make that putt. A shot gone for him.
Out in 33, 2 under par. So a good 9 holes, but got off to such a flying start. Dropped strokes at 7 and 9. So he's at 12 under par. Montgomerie out in 1 under par. He remains there at 14 under.
And there is the spectacular fountain in front of the Emirates clubhouse here. £15 million clubhouse as well. Greg Norman, the world number 2, 2 shots behind the leader Colin Montgomerie. As his Couples, there is Greg Norman's record, 12 tour wins in Europe.
Yes, and of course leading money winner on the US Tour in 86 and 1990. Winner of over 60 tournaments all over the world. So a real superstar of golf.
And here's the next superstar, I imagine. He's already won, isn't he? Ernie Els is speeding towards the hole. Doesn't quite have enough juice in it. So from a South African to the German, Sven Struve. And Husson, also of South Africa. Didn't look to have the pace required. Just a skip up there.
This is the shot that Norman gets week in, week out on the US Tour. Ball sitting up nicely. He's looking to hold this. He stubbed it.
He looks rueful to me, Ken. He looks not entirely happy with his game today, and neither is Nicky Price, and neither is Montgomerie entirely. Talking of which, here is Nicky Price. Needs to do something to bring a smile back to his face. Is this the one? Not quite. Good appreciation from the audience, but Price knows it could have been better.
Yes, for players of this standard, they were 2 rather poor shots, but they've still got birdie opportunities. Down the long 10th fairway, very straight hole, Colin Montgomerie. Now, Colin would have decided whether he thinks he can reach in 2. If he is, he'll have to give it the full works. Started down the left, he's coming back. Got a good hard bounce. That's a biggie, Colin.
Greg Norman. He's held a couple of long putts today. This is one of the shorter variety, but they're equally important, and doesn't have the end product that Greg Norman was hoping for.
Here's someone that will have the length to reach. Has he got the accuracy to send it down the centre of the fairway? On the short grass. The fairway's cut here very, very short, 8 millimetres.
Now Nicky Price, 10 under. He's just picked up 1 today. This to pick up a second. No. Curses. Well, there are days when they just get away like that. It doesn't matter how little you miss by.
Yeah, just a little bit of grain on some of the greens and can deceive the players. Both these two fellas looking a little bit frustrated, feel they should be a few strokes better.
Yes, I think when you look at the scores today of Michael Campbell 65 and Joachim Hegman 65, that just shows that the opportunity is there, and if one of these top players were to get away, they could almost clinch it today. But at the moment, none of them is producing sufficiently scintillating golf to do that. Montgomery's still leading by 2 from Norman and Couples, by 3 from Campbell and Fulker. This is Houston.
He looks a little bit dissatisfied, but pretty good shot. He's currently 2 under par for his round and 9 under for the tournament. Still right in the hunt.
And so on we go to the 11th tee with Norman and Price, the Australian and the Zimbabwean, 2 of the most colourful players in the world game today.
We'll look up from the elevated tee on the short par 3 11th. Measures 169 yards from the back tee to the centre of the green, but today just 147. Very large putting surface on 3 tiers, and today the pin cut right on the front of the green on the lower tier on a very flat piece of green. The green just, the wind just blustering a little bit from left to right. 8 iron for Norman. Certainly eyeing it up. Just on the front edge of the green. Neither of these two just firing on all cylinders.
I spotted Greg Norman's wife in the gallery there. She often follows him around the golf course and is doing so today. Now that's the view Montgomerie has of the 10th green. It's well bunkered at this green. It's almost like a dog collar around it, just one little grassy fringe. Nick Price playing alongside Norman. We'll be back with Monty in a moment. Safely up for Price, putting from the opposite side of the green now then. Colin Montgomerie is second to this 10th. Really goes through the motions. Through the ball. A very good result indeed for him. Just going to trickle.
Yeah, they were 2 of Colin's biggest wallops. You won't notice, just trickle over the back. Position, get another birdie. Now Couples 30 yards longer from the tee. Absolutely massive hit. Just on the 300-yard mark. I think he will be able to get there with an iron. We hear from down on the course, 225 yards for Fred. 2 iron, he'll be trying to work it in from left to right, hit it as high as he can to try and stop the ball as quickly as possible.
Well, those yardages just tell you how far these players do hit the ball, bearing in mind this is 549 yards and the couples didn't quite make it. Takes 2 really good cracks to get up there. Now then, what has Ernie Els been up to? 13th, well, fairway, so to speak. It's not much fairway there. There's plenty of sand. The dust. Now then, is this a good recovery? Sure is. That's where the world's greatest players are Houdinis.
Yes, they had obviously an element of luck there not to get caught in that love grass or that tumbleweed type stuff, but a lovely recovery there from Els.
The shot you had a moment ago would tell you that this was the reserve of the Camels until 6 or 7 years ago. Joachim Hagman today had a 65, as did Michael Campbell from New Zealand, so they've made significant moves up the board. Sven Struve of Germany, a 67 today, so still good scoring around the course. Besonsone, Sandelin, 68s, McFarlane, Watanabe, Eels 69s. An outside chance for a birdie for Nicky Price. Looking to go 11 under. He's dear, agonising.
He's not having much luck.
He started breaking right.
Started breaking right. Couldn't believe it. It was very similar to that putty hole at the 17th at the Open Championship at Turnberry, but that one, of course, finished in the bottom of the cup.
Your hearing's better than mine, Ken. I thought he said he was suffering from non-breaking itis there. It didn't break at all when he wanted it to. Howard Clark now, second shot to the 12th, 467 yards. Palms around the tree. Flamingo land down the right here. Good. Very good. Seems in good control of his game.
Yeah, absolutely super drive and a beautifully controlled second shot. The uphill par 4 12th, dog legs from right to left. There's a pond on the right that hasn't come into play very much this week. It's full of ducks and flamingos. The tee shot's got to be drawn from right to left ideally, and that's what Clark had done. Leaves you his second shot very much uphill. A large variety of shots you can play. You can try and run one on or fly it all the way. Anything dragged down this left-hand side here, though, gets gathered up by these humps and hollows and can drift a long way to the left. One of the tougher fours on the golf course.
So coming to you live from the Emirates Golf Club in Dubai. Greg Norman on the 11th. Wants a birdie now. He wants it badly, but he's missed it, and it's going to be a tap-in par for Greg Norman. His putter has been working quite well today. Now Montgomerie, who's finding life not quite as easy as he did yesterday when he just had one of those days when everything went right. There again, you see, he's left himself a little tester.
He was right on track, the line was perfect. Now he's left himself this right to left putt for his birdie 4. Norman has tapped in on the 11th. He's got his par 3, so he remains at 12 under par.
Montgomerie, 2 ahead of Norman and couples. He's a big man, and you can tell it's a very warm day in Dubai, and just a hint of perspiration there coming through Montgomerie's shirt. Freddie Couples.
It always amazes me how long a backswing Fred Couples takes. Those very short pitches, he takes it almost 3/4 of the way back and just flops the club head under the ball.
Seven to play for Norman today. Huge hitter. Really flashes it.
Great to watch. I played with him way back in 1976 when he first came over to Europe, and he could do that then, but he used to hit it all over the place, and his short game wasn't a patch on what it is today. He's now a complete golfer. He worked a lot with Butch Harmon recently, and this fellow, of course, works with David Ledbetter. Hold anything back on that one. Maybe they're having a driving contest. That looks to be finishing certainly not on the fairway anyway.
No, unusual for Nicky Price, a 7-time winner in 1994. Couples on the 10th green. Short little putt, but the sort that's got to go down. He just missed the eagle. This is for the birdie.
Swings a lot from right to left.
Ooh, he knew somehow the moment it left the club head that that was not going to go in. The left-hand corner, spun all the way around, stayed out, as they have it a habit of doing. So a chance missed by Freddie Couples there. Ernie Els, having had his adventures with the sand, has done so well to get into this situation. He's got a chance of an eagle. And he does it too. Well, that's a really significant shot for Ernie Els. He's come out of the scrub, he's come out of the desert, and it's a grinning Ernie Els who comes right up the leaderboard as the highest he's been all week. He's now 2 behind Montgomerie and level with Norman and Couples. What a leaderboard. Montgomerie, Els, Norman, Couples, with Nicky Price on the leaderboard too.
Absolutely marvellous stuff. Can't believe it. World number 7, world number 6, 2, 7, and Nicky Price world number 1. Amazing stuff. Howard Clark there at 9 under, hanging tough in the middle of the 12th green. Stuart Cage, he's remained at 8 under par, doing very nicely. His Walker Cup buddy Raymond Burns. I wonder what sort of bird that is. It looks like some sort of crane. Not a flamingo, is it?
Cormorant was the word that occurred to me, Ken. We're certainly learning much about ornithology this week in Dubai. That's sand, I can tell you that, in the background. Plenty of money on offer here this week in Dubai. £75,000 goes to the winner. Total cash prize of £450,000. The runner-up, who was Greg Norman last year, will get £50,000, and right down to 10th spot, 9,000. But it's the prize of winning that interests the players most.
Certainly the fellas at the top of the leaderboard aren't in need of a few bob. Certainly this fellow isn't. Yeah, from the perfect position, right in the centre of the 12th fairway. I don't think Norman will be thinking of chasing the ball on. He'll be trying to fly it all the way to the putting surface. Little breeze there is, and you can just see the flag in the background, just slightly into his face. 96 yards to the flag, a 4-iron. best. We're going to wander back to the 11th tee, a short par 3. Colin's got the honour. He's a very, very good short iron player. Always seems to get the right distance.
Beautiful swing, beautiful follow through, and let's see if he has a beautiful result. Pretty good. But, he wasn't as impressed as we were. But at the previous hole, this is recorded, this was a putt to save his birdie just a moment or two earlier, and it waggled away off to the right.
I asked you before.
And January in Dubai, all of a sudden not such a pleasing prospect for the big Scot.
And the fellas seem to be misjudging their iron shots a little bit. I think the wind is just picking up a fraction and maybe changing direction.
He appears disconsolate too, Couples, although he's off, well, up on the apron. It's not really given too many problems, that particular hole, to most of the players today.
No, and it's played under par for the week, which is quite unusual for a short hole. Good Price from the waist area to the left of the 12th. And that's a cracking shot from there.
That's more of what we expect from Nicky Price. Stuart Cage going for an eagle. Oh, what a memorable first week for him. He played as an invitee in 3 tournaments on the tour last year as an amateur, but this is his professional debut on the Volvo Tour. He's a right to smile, hasn't he? And this one really rattles its cage with I didn't really mean to say that, actually. Apologies all around for that. But it's a 21-year-old from Leeds, Stuart Cage. And what a debut it's turning out. He hasn't dropped a shot.
Now Burns with a chance for an eagle as well. On the practice ground this morning, the lineup was Couples, Norman, Price, then Cage and Burns. It's not a chance. Beautifully judged. So it looks like these two youngsters are both going to pick a stroke up on the par 5 for 13th.
And isn't it wonderful to see new names like this coming to the fore? And the tour, you can never have enough good new players.
That's right, because the Seves and the Woosnams and the Faldos are getting no younger. A very clumsy effort from Norman. I think he was trying to throw one up in the air and get a lot of check on it. It's caught fractionally behind the ball. So he's struggling to save his par.
So back to Stuart Cage on the 13th, the young man from Sandmore. Played a lot of his early golf with Ian Pyman, who didn't make the cut in. There he is, he's got his birdie, Cage.
And that moves him 1 under for today's round. And 9 under for the tournament. Both these lads Walker Cup players, both 21. Burns too making his birdie. He too 10 under.
Still some life in this putt for Greg Norman. And this to save par. Not the time he wants to be dropping a shot by any means. word may well have got around that Montgomerie's just dropped one.
Beautifully done by Norman. Very important putt. Doesn't want to let Montgomerie get too far ahead.
Bravely done indeed. Ernie Els just had that eagle. Oh, he must love this course in Dubai, and it's moved him right up that leaderboard. 2 behind Montgomerie. Really has immense strength, Ernie Els. Almost too much strength this time. Raw power. Now Nicky Price. Birdie to go 11 under. And that's all the way home. He knew it as soon as he set off. You little beauty, he says.
So it's all tightening up at the top of the leaderboard. Price moving within 3 shots. Montgomerie for a 2 on the 11th.
Not as inspired today as he was yesterday. I mean, it's not often you do get 2 days in a row like that. That's why it's such a great game.
Yes, I think he got such a flying start that he started to sort of just defend a little bit. And there is a look at the statistics for this 11th, averaging 2.84. Only 13 bogeys on the week, so it's played a very, very easy hole.
Couples also with a chance to go to 13 under and 1 behind Montgomerie. Downhill, gauged distance perfectly, so it's a safe tap in for Freddie Couples. So it's Colin Montgomerie still leading by 2 shots. Remember, he started the day 3 ahead. It's Ernie Els who's up there with him now, alongside Greg Norman and Freddie Couples. Montgomerie going through the motions on the 12th tee. Scuttling along in that very thin sand. Oh, it's sitting up quite nicely. But it's all going wrong at the moment. Hold yourself together, Monty. And here is the 12th, which has yielded 27 birdies and 76 bogeys, so it's got the reputation of being a toughie. Price close to the Magulus, and he is in good humour after that last birdie, and sitting up beautifully down the fairway for Nicky Price. Now 12th tee and Fred Couples. Well, he does give it an almighty smack. Lovely result for him. I'll leave him about 200 yards to go.
Norman looking to again with a 3-wood down this 13th. Of course, dropped a stroke here yesterday, hooked it down the left-hand side and took a 6. Inch perfect.
Scoring a little more modest today, though, with the exceptions of Michael Campbell and Joachim Hegman. Els on the 14th, looking to get his round really going now. This is for a birdie. And despite the exhortations of the crowd, I'm afraid it's going to be a tap-in under par for Mr. Els. Out in 34 today. Those birdies at 11. 10th rather, and the 13th eagle. So 12 under, Ernie Els. Howard Clark. He's played very consistently all week, but that's drifting somewhat.
Yes, looking to pick up a birdie on the 13th, and Howard's got that 7-8 footer for his birdie 4.
Doesn't look in the best of moods there, and now Pierre Fulker, Howard Clark's playing partner today, splashing up out of the sand, and did well to get some stop on that. Leaves him about 5 feet to come back for the 23-year-old Fulke, who apparently hated golf when he was a young man, but he's been coached by David Nicholson from Newcastle. Now loves the game.
Yes, and definitely one of the most promising Swedish professionals.
Howard Clark keen to make a 6th Ryder Cup appearance. People like Mark James out there, and Bernhard Lang, who's played 7 times. Right, but Severiano Ballesteros is top of the Ryder Cup standings at the moment. And he will be playing in Manila in the Johnny Walker Classic next week, which I'm sure you'll enjoy with us. No. Just trailed off to the right. There's a quiet word for the ball, which was not complimentary.
Yes, Clark currently lying 18th on the Ryder Cup points list. Montgomerie, he's currently 6th on the points list, so he's in good position. He's in very good position here at the Dubai Desert Classic. He's just trying to weigh out the angle, exactly where the green is over that palm tree.
It is a course made for television, this, isn't it? Blue skies, green fairways, brown sand. Freddie Couples, one of the world's greatest golfers, enthralling the crowds here. It's been a very high standard of golf. He won't be entirely satisfied with that, but it's up there just off the fringe. They're so demanding of themselves, so self-critical, they always want to be within about 10 feet of the pin. There is the greenery I was talking around. Greg Norman. It's a colourful garb today too. You can see there is a bit of a breeze. He's got 236 yards to go to the pin.
Beautifully followed there. Norman launching the ball down the left-hand side, trying to cut it back. Unfortunately, it stays there. There's a few humps and hollows there that will tend to gather the ball towards the green. He's done pretty well. I don't think he'll be over pleased with it.
You can hear the wildlife. What's calling for Colin Montgomerie? He's hating it at the moment. He really is. And, there he's sort of cast an accusing glance behind him, as though something had upset him at the moment of impact. It's funny, once the game goes from you, it's hard to get it back.
Yes, and Colin's always got an eagle ear out for something moving. Now Price with his 2nd shot to the 13th. Huge drive and a beautiful 2nd shot. So these two fellas have got outside chances of making eagle 3s.
Price suddenly seems to have found his game, doesn't he? The man who won the ICL International in South Africa last year, then the Honda Classic, Colonial International, Western Open, the Open, USPGA and the Canadian Open. This young man, Pierre Fulker, is hoping he can emulate that one day. He misses his putt.
As of course moments ago, 55. And that's Cage's pitch from the right-hand side of the 14th green. A slightly errant second shot there.
English amateur champion Stuart Cage. Walker Cup player, of course, as they're one of the blue shirts. And, there is Greg Norman in resplendent in red, white and blue today. He's 2 shots behind Colin Montgomerie, along with Ernie Els and Fred Couples. Michael Campbell from New Zealand there, a new name to many people. He was on the Challenge Tour last year and finished 3rd, 11 under.
I think him and Price are having a chat about the design of this course. I think Greg was suggesting that he would like to have seen the green a little bit nearer to that lake. A lot of professional golfers getting more and more involved with golf course design.
Lovely backdrop. Montgomerie, this is where he ended up after that errant shot. He needs one to make up for it. He certainly found it. Just rediscovered his touch in time. Rather happy with that. Got this heavy tread, Colin Montgomerie, and the head stoops when things are not going so well. Looking to make it a hat-trick of Order of Merit wins this year. He's topped it in the last 2 years. There's Cage, and he knew, I think, the second he struck the putt that was going to miss on the left.
Playing with Burns today. And for all the golf fans, we'd like to wish Jack Nicklaus a happy birthday today. He's 55. Of course, the world's best golfer.
Few could argue with that. Norman. Little pitch and run, which he negotiates superbly, but it's about 3 feet on bar.
Fred's long-range birdie effort on the 12th. Swing from right to left. Go on. A little bit shy. Becoming a bit of a log jam at the top of the leaderboard. Nine players on 10 under par or better.
Back on the 15th, Ernie Els needs this to stay at 12 under. Well, we've seen him hold from this distance on countless occasions this week. From Johannesburg. Rarely misses, does he? And that's all part of this great game of golf. Those are vital putts.
Price's putt for an eagle 3 on the 13th. This would move him to 13 under par. Nice touch. A little bit sarcastic there, I think, about himself.
Price was the first man to win consecutive majors last year after Tom Watson. Another great player you were talking, Ken, about. Jack Nicklaus, Tom Watson, another of the all-time greats. Couples tapped in for his par at the 12th, and now we're back to Fulke. Playing today with Howard Clark, and playing very well indeed. Beautiful stroke. His American caddy will be delighted with Fulke for that. Back live to Nicky Price. Topped the US money list in 1993. study in concentration. And it paid off.
Pleased with that. This 13th is a hole that you'd definitely be looking forward to picking a stroke up on. And Price has done that, and that moves him to 12 under and his second consecutive birdie.
Montgomerie scarcely missed from this distance yesterday. He's missed one today, but that one's safely home and all the way around the hole. Quiet thank you to ball and crowd alike. Still 14 under. Montgomerie started the day 13 under. His least successful round of the day at the moment. And Greg Norman, who on the first day had a 64, had to settle for 70 yesterday, but is only one behind Montgomerie with this little 5-footer.
And this to tie the lead.
We have joint leaders, and Colin Montgomerie, who has been out in front for the best part of a day and a half, now finds himself a joint leader with this man, Greg Norman. The shark is biting. So there has been a significant change since the start of play today. Norman, the leader on the first day, now finds his name at the top of the leaderboard again, alongside that of Colin Montgomerie. Ernie Els and Nick Price and Fred Couples all at 12 under. Michael Campbell and Pierre Fulke on 11 under. Wayne Riley and Retief Goosen 10 under par. Both still out on the course. A lot of golf to go yet. As we go down, it's Spencer Druver, Raymond Burns and Howard Clark all 9 under. Hagman and Stuart Cage 8 under.
Couples holding nothing back on the 13th. And that's Colin Montgomerie's ball, also in the perfect position to attack the flag. So they're going to set themselves up, certainly with a birdie chance, and maybe even an eagle.
Bernhard Langer, sort of a steady week rather than spectacular. Chance to go to 6 under. Just breaking from left to right, and it's a lovely putt which deserved a better reward. Langer 70, 68. Started the day 6 under. So there's a lot of work to do if it's going to be Bernhard Langer's week. A round of 73 today, that's 1 over par. Just the 2 birdies, not one of the great days. Nick Price. Looking up into the sun. Nice when you can do that in January.
Beautiful. Absolutely perfect golfing weather. Sun shining. I'm sure there'll be people out on the beach enjoying themselves. It's a great way for these tour pros to start the season. Clark is for a chance for a 3. Clark not won since 1988, the English Open.
Beautiful day, it really is here in Dubai. Glorious sunshine, slight breeze, lovely conditions for golf.
To think there was no trees on this site when it was The course was built in 1988. 800 sprinklers across the course and 60,000 drippers. Each of these little plants has got some way of being watered. It's an incredible effort.
And you can imagine more golf courses will spring up around the Emirates. Tucked in by Howard Clark. 9 under. United Arab Emirates with a population of around 2,500,000 of whom live here in Dubai. Couples having a good stretch.
One of the few players that doesn't wear a golf glove. That's why he's always drying his grips in his hands to make sure the club doesn't slip. Corey Pavin, another player who also doesn't wear a glove. .226 yards with a 3-iron.
Hang on. Get up. Oh no.
Well, he's not liked much today, has he, really? And that's right on the fringe. Him nestling between those two bunkers. Montgomerie's not enjoyed his day's golf as much as he did yesterday. Montgomerie one clear of Greg Norman, out in 34 today, having started with 3 birdies. And since then, there's just been nothing inspired about Montgomerie. Perhaps he's playing a little too conservatively. Having said that, he'll probably hit this one right down the throat of them.
Well, not over impressed with that. Called it heavy. Ball coming up short of the cross bunker. And he's going to be a little bit cross with himself. Our cameraman better keep well away from him.
Yeah, it's not one of the best days at the office.
You can see from the flag there, no wind at all. Perfect golfing conditions. The pin have been cut in fairly generous positions. The players just not quite taking advantage of them, certainly the leading players.
Fulker, fresh from a birdie. Nice rhythmical tee shot. Down she comes onto the green, exactly where he wanted it to be. Now Price. Doesn't miss many greens from this sort of position. Second at the 14th. Good hearty thwack. But again, the head goes down quickly, which always suggests that they're not entirely happy, and yet that's not the worst position to be in. Norman, who'll be playing in Manila next week, with one of the top players from Asia. It really is a world game, expanding rapidly.
Of course, last year's winner of the title. All sitting pretty well. Just watch how high Norman hits this one. He's doing that to try and get the ball to stop quickly. Just not quite sure where the breeze is coming from. Just a little bit off the right and slightly against, but very little of it.
Do the right thing, ball.
Oh, thank goodness for the board. That was down into the crowd otherwise. Man, he'll get relief from there.
Yes, he'll be able to take relief from there. Part of the rules on the European Tour. Picture Montgomerie landing it below the little tier and then letting it run up. He's got the strength right, but not quite the borrow.
The course isn't yielding as much as we might have expected this afternoon. After those two 65s earlier today by Joachim Hegman of Sweden and Michael Campbell of New Zealand. Well, perhaps expected a little too much, didn't they? Wayne Riley had a good start to the day.
Will it
Picked
go
up
in?
a shot. He thought it was in. He spun around. He looked away, and when he looked back, the ball was still above ground.
Bad luck for Riley. A lovely fellow. What you would call a typical Australian. Taps in for his birdie 4 for his round today. 5 under par and 11 under par for the tournament. So right in contention.
Not come round enough for Fred Couples. But the closing holes have been very conducive to good scoring in the first 2 days. So we can probably expect a few shots to be picked up by the likes of Montgomerie and Couples here, and Norman. And Couples now at 13 under alongside Greg Norman, 1 behind the leader Colin Montgomerie. Well, now Nicky Price and Greg Norman, best of friends off the course and good friends on the course when it comes to rulings.
Norman got to find his nearest point where he can get a swing at it, but not near the hole, of course.
Right where that. Yeah, right in there. Kicked up march there. Was kicked up march right there. Look about the same.
Caddy
Maybe an
Tony
inch behind him.
Navarro giving him some advice.
Meanwhile, Montgomerie the chance of going 15 under. Now these are the sort of putts which held no terror for him yesterday, but which today are just not happening for him. That's about the 3rd time we've seen Monty miss from that range, and every time he's missed on the right.
Well, that was an important putt for him, because after a perfect tee shot, this really is just a par 4 for these top golfers. So in his mind, he has dropped a stroke. Five for Montgomerie, so he remains at 14 under par. Maybe a little contretemps with his caddy, Alistair McLean.
Rather grim demeanour for the moment for the former Ilkley professional. Not seen as many smiles around the course as we would perhaps have liked today, and that's because the golf hasn't quite been of the highest order. We expect so much, you know, when people shoot 63s and 64s, you expect it every day. We've had a couple of 65s today. We've just seen Wayne Riley complete his round in 67. Norman, having found the spot from which he's got a clear swing, out in 33 today, and he started back 5-3, 4-4.
Beautifully played for Norman. 3 under par from his round, so they're not setting the world on fire. All these players under par and playing good tidy golf. We just expect sometimes, particularly after you've seen rounds of 63, and we've Els shooting 61 last season. Perhaps sometimes we expect a little bit too much from them.
6 threes today, nonetheless. Price. Who says his short game has improved immeasurably since he took lessons from David Ledbetter, the world's #1 golfing teacher. Again, it's not enough steam. 3 feet left for Nick Price. That's a long way for him from that sort of distance.
Yeah, the 14th green, a little bit slower than some of the others. Couples back on the tee. Massive drive for Couples into the perfect spot. Just 1 stroke behind now.
Only a dozen players left out on the course now as we come towards the close of the 3rd day of the Dubai Desert Classic, including the leader, Montgomerie, on the 14th tee. Problems with that. 434 yards, similar to the 5th, this one, I was thinking.
Yes, not an easy tee shot. This is for Norman's par. So he remains at 13 under and 3 under for today's round.
Confirmation that Nick Price got a par at the last. So he's proving fairly consistent at the moment, but Colin Montgomerie, started so dramatically with 3 birdies, he's only 1 clear of Norman and Couples, 2 clear of Els, Fulker and Price, 3 clear of Campbell and Riley, and 4 clear of the South African Retief Hussein. Talking of South Africans, here's Ernie Els.
His second shot to 17.
Yes.
Joint 4th at the moment. Owen O'Connell from Ireland is Ernie Els' playing partner. Shot 67 on the first day here in Dubai, 70 yesterday. So he started the day at 7 under, and he's 1 over for the day. That's as good a shot as we've seen in the last few minutes.
Price and Norman are venturing onto this 15th. 155 yards to the front of the green. The pin's on 19 today. 74 yards. They'll be aiming at one of those palm trees at the back of the green with the pin on the right and just trying to fade the ball into the flag. Both of these players very, very capable in that shot.
Can the sun can pose a problem for the players? But, there's not much of a problem with the shot for Nicky Price. Next to step between the aluminium ingots on the tee, Greg Norman. He's had 3 here.
Play your shot, huh? Yeah. 75. Come on now.
Greg Norman not amused by a comment from one of the spectators.
Yeah, 175 yards.
Somebody was suggesting to him what club he should use. My goodness me. If there's anybody in the world who doesn't need advice, it's this man.
Well, they don't come much better than that. It was worth waiting for. A wonderful shot from Norman. And there's certainly 4 more birdie opportunities for him today. The last 4 holes very much birdieable.
I wonder if the fellow who gave the advice could have done any better. Wonderful shot from the world at number 2. He liked it, and this is why. Well, they say it's a fluke, a hole-in-one, but Greg Norman there, it was intense concentration, perfect shot. Couples second to the 14th.
Three-quarter 8 iron for Couples. I think he likes it. 2 majestic iron shots we've seen in a row there. Moments ago, this was Colin's second to the 14th.
Pretty good. Not quite as good as the one from Fred Couples seconds later. Stocked almost dead, actually. But it's still Montgomerie who's just keeping his nose in front of the pack. Norman and Couples on 13 under. Ernie Els, Pierre Fulker and Nick Price all at 12 under, and locked at 11 under, Michael Campbell and Wayne Riley. All these pretenders to Ernie Els' crown. Retief Hussain 10 under with 1 to play today. Ernie Els from 5 or 6 feet needs this for par. Gets it. I don't think he's missed from that range this week. I really don't.
No, it's a deadly combination, isn't it? A long driver, good iron player, an absolutely deadly putter.
Well, Price thought he did a good tee shot. He was surpassed by Greg Norman. Somewhere between 12 and 15 feet, this Price. The Zimbabwean who won his first major in his 13th year on tour. It was well worth waiting. Never fancied it?
No, he seemed to pull that one off the putter face. So Price is going to remain at 3 under par for his round. 2 strokes behind Colin Montgomerie.
Norman's got a good chance, and if this one goes in, we will have joint leaders at 14 under.
Not an easy putt to read. The green looks very, very flat. May just move a little bit from his right to left.
this to move level with Montgomerie. And we don't have the right line this time, and Montgomerie stays out in front. Well, there have been a few narrow squeaks today for Colin Montgomerie, but he's just hung on to the pole position, and Norman will be bitterly disappointed because it was a superb tee shot which deserved better reward.
It was very unfortunate it didn't stop a little quicker as well. It just released on those couple of feet further away. It was Couples for his birdie on the 14th. They're all just slipping past the edge of the hole.
He stays one behind Colin Montgomerie, who will be next to test his luck on here. So Montgomerie with a good 20-footer for a birdie. And didn't come in, never broke. Chances being missed all around the course at the moment. Retief Hussain coming down the last 18th fairway.
Big drive. That sounded a little heavy. He's definitely going for the green in 2. Manages to make the carry, so he's also set himself up for an eagle.
Back on the 18th tee, Ernie Els. Reminding you, he's only 2 behind the leader, and 2 shots is nothing at this stage, with 18 holes to come tomorrow, and that's fine for Els.
There's a massive drive. The tee today, that 20 yards further forward, just to tempt the players, make them cut the corner off a bit more, and makes for exciting golf.
Forward we go through the palm trees. Really is the most scenic golf course imaginable. Astonishing feat to make the dream of Sheikh Maktoum come true. Crowd like that. A ripple of applause. Strong ripple, and that's where the